Hello and welcome to the Main Street America Institute info session. This program will give you an understanding of the Main Street America Institute's purpose, structure, and courses with the goal of helping you consider if the Institute can help you achieve your professional development goals. As a Main Street manager or a neighborhood commercial district manager, or is anybody really involved in commercial district revitalization? Before we begin the program, I want to point out a couple of resources. First, on your control panel, you should see a section labeled either handouts or materials. There are a few PDFs located in that section. I will reference those during the program. That includes our course schedule, our course list, and a document to help track participation. We'll discuss all of those, but I want to make sure that your attention is drawn to either that handouts or materials section for when I reference it later. Second, if you're joining us live today, and we have a number of people here to hear about the program, we look forward to answering questions at any time throughout the program. We'll also have a time for question and answer at the end of the program. The best way to ask a question is to use the chat function on your control panel. If you type in there a question, I will see it on my end and I'll be able to read it out loud and address it for the group. There's also the option, if you'd like, to raise your hand. There's a hand raise icon on your control panel. If you use it, that'll raise your hand. I'll be able to unmute your microphone and allow you to ask your question out loud so the group can hear you. Keep in mind, though, that only works if you've appropriately set up the microphone function on your end. So if that's not working for you currently, it'd be better to use the chat function. And for anyone who is viewing the recording of this session, we'll also encourage you throughout the program to email or call with any questions. And for everybody who is here live as well, there's always some good conversation that we can have after about the best options for you. So feel free always to stay in contact with us. Again, though, I want to introduce myself and welcome you. My name is Kelly Humberkhauser. I am the Associate Manager of Education here at the National Main Street Center. I'm in our offices located in Chicago. If you hear any rumble in the background, it is because we are located next to the Chicago elevated train line, and sometimes they do come by the window here. I'm, again, the Associate Manager of Education. So one of my main responsibilities is the Main Street America Institute, as well as some of our conference programming and other educational opportunities that we offer. I joined the National Main Street Center in 2016, background in education and historic preservation. And really during your time participating in the Institute, I will be a primary contact. So I want to make sure that you know who I am. Feel free, if you're at the conference or something, to stop me and chat with me about the program. Or, you know, if you're reaching out, you'll likely most often get me in response. So it's good to meet you all. And one of my favorite parts about working at the National Main Street Center, and specifically with our educational programming, is really getting to know the individual managers who we work with. So I really look forward to hopefully meeting you in person or, you know, via our virtual communication options here. So today's information session is going to give you background and purpose for the Main Street America Institute, the framework, a little overview of the Main Street approach. Many of you may be familiar, but it's important to understand it as it relates to the basis of how we organize the courses, the individual courses that you can take and how they work with our curriculum, our certificates and credential program that many people might be interested in hearing more about how to achieve the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential. We'll certainly discuss that. And then pathways, pricing, policies relative to the Institute. We certainly have, you know, I think the scheduled time frame for this program is an hour online. We certainly won't take all of that time, but we do want to also offer at the end a time for you to ask any questions, and sometimes those are really good questions for others to hear too, so feel free. Again, I encourage you to speak up. And you know, we want to make sure that this is helping you understand how to approach perhaps professional development. Maybe you've been in other programs before, or maybe this is your first time really seeking some professional development in this sphere. And I am more than happy to work with you individually also to figure out what that looks like for you. So starting off, background and purpose of the Main Street America Institute is pretty simple overall. It's the professional development program of the National Main Street Center. Whether or not you're a Main Street America member organization, you've come to us to learn more about this because you're interested in how Main Streets work, how to do your job as a manager or even perhaps a board member or a consultant in some sphere related to the management of a Main Street from the perspective of the National Main Street Center with our 40-year history in revitalizing downtowns and commercial districts. You may be aware that previously we had a different program called the Certified Main Street Manager Program. That started, I believe, in 1987 and was an active, well-used program until it went on a now permanent hiatus in 2008. So the program was constructed in some ways similar to our current program. Certainly, we have a lot of the same content bases, but many changes happened in the Main Street network between the late 80s and then today, where the National Main Street Center is. So that program is no longer the name of the program, and we've changed the structure a little bit. But certainly, we still have so many people in our network who earned the Certified Main Street Manager credential and use that actively, and we want to make sure that we honor them. We also offer an option if anyone here did participate in that program for a reduced course load in our program. So keep that in mind. Happy to follow up with you about that. The Main Street America Institute began in 2015 as a way to kind of address the ending of the CM-SM program and also needed updates to kind of change certain formats about the program to be more relevant to today's professional development audience. So key changes, in case you were aware of the former program, now we offer content both online and in person. So previously, all content was done in person. In order to alleviate some of the costs of that and the time commitment of that, we've moved some content to be more flexible and online. We also have ad hoc course options where you don't need to commit fully. You can take one course and see how it works for you before really committing to this program. And we also offer 2 certificates as well as the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential. So if you don't need all of this content, there's a way to participate without having to take the full breadth of the program. So again, what are we doing here? We're going to develop your abilities to lead revitalization efforts through engagement, management, and really building a movement in your communities. We want to help you develop those leadership and soft skills, as well as understand and apply the Main Street approach and its 4 points. Our content is developed around the Main Street approach, and so I want to take the opportunity to really make sure that everyone is on the same page with what the Main Street approach is. For some, this might be something that you use, terminology that you use on a very daily basis. But if you're less familiar with Main Street and the network, I want to take a moment. The Main Street 4-point methodology has been around for almost 40 years, and that methodology is built around economic vitality, design, organization, and promotion. Many of you might organize your committees at your board level around these 4 points, and that 4 points, is how we organize our curriculum. You'll see our courses are listed under each of those 4 points. But there's also the added element of the Main Street refreshed approach. In 2015, 2016, so a few years ago now, the National Main Street Center and the full network made a commitment to really create a more adaptable, measurable model using the traditional Main Street approach for the 21st century. So the 4 points, economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization, are still the basis of this work and the organizational efforts, but the 4 points are tied together through the identification of transformation strategy. A transformation strategy is determined through community vision and market understanding. It's implemented through the 4 points, and the results are measurable both qualitatively and quantitatively. If you have not had an updated familiarity with the refreshed Main Street approach, we encourage participation in the Institute to really make sure that those skills are coming in line with kind of that new understanding of how to use the market analysis and community engagement elements. But we also still, again, use kind of those basis 4 points as a way to discuss this curriculum. So our curriculum focus areas are community transformation and leadership development. The community transformation focus area is really, as I've mentioned, kind of discussing that 4-point approach subject areas with the capstone workshop, our community transformation workshop, in really understanding that strategy, development, and implementation. The community transformation, if you participate in all of the courses under that umbrella, that would be 8 online courses, and the community transformation workshop, that would lead to a community transformation certificate. So we'll talk more about the certificates later, but I wanted to plant this idea in your mind that there are 2 separate certificate programs and they slightly different requirements. The leadership development focus area is really about developing your abilities to manage others, manage teams of volunteers, of board members, not in a traditional staff management model necessarily, something that's very specific to Main Street, and really resources, and use the community vision and your own personal leadership values to develop that leadership strategy for yourself that you can employ in your community. Mostly, we want to make sure that Main Street managers are at the table. They're considered decision makers in their communities. They're considered leaders in their communities. And there's not planning going on around you without your participation, that you are at that table on a regular basis. And we believe that the leadership development content is very important to making sure that managers are also developing their own professional roles within the community and the role of the Main Street profession overall. So that certificate program consists of taking 2 online courses and the leadership development workshop. We'll come back to talk more about those workshops, but I want to jump in and start talking about some of the course formats that we have. Our online courses consist of 2 types. They're the advanced principles courses and the topics courses. And then again, we have those live in-person workshops. Advanced principles courses offer a thorough foundation in each of the MSAI 5 points. Now, I use 5 points here in quotes to say that we've added leadership development to that. So we offer a course in each of the 4 points, and again, that 5th point, leadership development. These courses, we encourage you to attend live. As an online course, it is recorded. You are able to participate later if you're not able to attend the live session. But instructors do give hands-on assignments and want you to ask questions and be discursive in the online classroom. The other style of online course is the topics course. This is an intensive online course available in a recorded-only format. So these courses there's not a live viewing option and there's not classroom discussion, but the topics offer a deeper dive into one aspect of Main Street management. And as we develop more of a catalog of these courses, which we'll discuss later, there'll be some options for you about which meet your specific needs. Again, the workshops, the Leadership Development Workshop and the Community Transformation Workshop are each held annually, and there's no greater joy than being able to work with some of your peers directly, hear about their challenges and opportunities for their own districts and compare that to your own. So the in-person element there is pretty priceless. And it's also some really great content. We'll talk more about that. So our advanced principles courses, as I mentioned before, are the live courses with hands-on assignments and hosted discussions. These do run once annually. Each course is a 3-week course. Each of the week's programs is about 1.5 hours. Again, we encourage active discussions, and you will have assignments that often ask you to look back at your own community and try to apply some of the learnings from the session. So walking through quickly so that you understand a little bit more about each one. First up in 2019 will be Advanced Principles of Sustainable Organization. That's hosted by Mary Helmer of Main Street, Alabama. Mary has a lot of experience to bring to the table to really help you understand some of the funding structures, board and organizational structures, and volunteer management structures that you should be considering when you are organizing your program or looking at your current organization for some reflection. In April, Hillary Greenberg is going to lead Advanced Principles of Economic Vitality. Hillary will really take you in, and actually we have a mock community for you to look at and kind of decide some of the ways that community can use market data to help really think about business recruitment and retention and develop a more holistic sense of the economy in the downtown district. In May, Lindsay Wallace, who's on our team here at the National Main Street Center, leads Advanced Principles of Quality Design. Lindsay was the author or coordinator of all of the content for our most recent design guide and has some fabulous discussions and assignments to take you into your own community and have you kind of map out some of the design issues and really think about strategies and resources in order to employ some of these learnings to make your downtown a little bit more in line with some design standards. In September, Travis Brown will teach Advanced Principles of Effective Promotion. Travis is a kind of a guru with branding and technology, and will help you use some digital media tools to really evoke a brand that's consistent across not just your marketing and promotional digital media, but also connecting that brand back down to your assets and to the events going on in your community, and really helping you figure out whether or not some of those events that you're putting on really match up with the brand that you're developing for yourself. And then finally, in October, Norma Meese on our team here at the National Main Street Center will lead Advanced Principles of Leadership Development. This course is foundational really to the leadership development track, and in this course, Norma really digs into what does it mean to be a leader versus a manager. And it's some content that is evergreen, but also in the application specifically to the Main Street manager and our communities. It can't be discussed enough to help you really sometimes get out of the groove of allowing others to dictate to you versus being able to lead the program successfully. Now, our topics courses, this is new for the Main Street America Institute this year. These courses are meant to take a deeper dive, to really take something that we've talked about for a smaller portion of the Advanced Principles courses and expand upon it and dig into it. The courses are available online at any time. You could go and register right now and complete it within the next week if that was your goal. Once you register, you'll have 90 days to complete the course, so about 3 months, which is a good time frame, but you have to always make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to complete it there at the end. But each of these courses is similar to the Advanced Principles. They're 3 sessions, 1.5 hours per session, but they are, again, on demand only, so there is no live session. And there will be a quiz after each session rather than an assignment to help you understand and make sure that you're taking away some of the most salient details of the session. The courses that we've developed this year are listed here, and I'll talk about them a little bit. But the goal of the topics courses and their being on demand only is to allow maximum flexibility. And also, as we move forward with these programs, we're going to develop a catalog of these courses so that if you, in your role, are more geared towards one of these deep dive topics than another, you'll be able to make choices as you proceed through the program to use the right content to fill the gaps in your knowledge, or take the deep dive where you feel most appropriate for you, or come back and learn more with us. So the courses that we consider the most pertinent to our managers are what we developed first this year. but we're also taking feedback from others and really thinking about what other content we can develop in each of the 5 points of the Main Street America Institute. So I'll walk through just a little bit to give you some background information. Funding revitalization programs is taught by Donna Ann Harris. And Donna Ann has so much experience with the different mechanisms and different models that fund Main Street programs. She'll actually take you step by step through different organizational structures for programs and different allocations of funding from different areas to make sure that you're kind of matching up with other expectations or give you some refreshed ideas. And she really deals with some, hot topic issues like budget crises and how to handle those. So it's really a really deep dive content and lots of extra materials to give you more in this area. That course, if you take it, will allow you to earn credit in the sustainable organization area or in the leadership development area. Each of the courses will cover at least one area if you're working towards a credential or certificate program, and we'll touch back and talk more about that. But some are multiple, and as we grow the catalog, there'll be, again, that choice option. Getting Retail Ready is taught by Larissa Ortiz. Larissa is a consultant out of New York City and works with the New York City Small Business Development Council, and Larissa has a lot of expertise relative not just to recruiting small businesses, developing entrepreneurship, but really also with credit tenants and larger retail organizations. So she's going to give you a background in what you need to do to prepare yourself and then develop a regular, maintained, sustainable framework for recruiting businesses to your district. So that includes developing kind of the relationships with the landlords as well as with real estate brokers, and understanding what different retail establishments are looking for when they look to your district. Incredibly useful content there. Nick Kalajirsis, some of you may be familiar with Nick. He formerly worked at the National Main Street Center, and he teaches a course under the design area called Commercial District Planning. Commercial district planning will help you understand more of how to participate in a district planning process that's occurring in your community. Really, again, how to kind of step up and be at the table in that process to make sure that the Main Street voice is very prominent in that process. And Nick will give examples from several different size communities and different ways that the Main Street program was involved in developing that downtown plan. And then how to make those downtown plans actionable and not just sit on the shelf forever. Promoting the local economy is taught by Alyssa Hillary. Alyssa is the president of Local First West Michigan. Alyssa's program talks about how to develop kind of that shop small campaign idea for year round in your community, always promoting and supporting the local businesses. So this is a course that would offer you credit in both the economic vitality the effective promotion area. So you could, as our catalog grows, choose to take that course in one of those two areas. And again, finally, strong leadership teams. This is again taught by Norma Meese here on our team at the National Main Street Center. Norma's program really takes a deep dive at looking at how you can organize the relationship between yourself and the board member, or can be taken with the board member, to really learn about how executive directors, board chairs, board members, committee members can organize around the refreshed Main Street approach. Sometimes the Main Street approach in identifying transformation strategies requires us to have a little bit more flexibility in the organization of our committees and how those work plans are established. And Norma will take a deep dive into thinking about how to be dynamic and flexible, and what board recruitment and executive director recruitment look like. So it's very conversational and a good program if you are a board member to view with your executive director, or if you're an executive director to view with your board perhaps. And then finally, I just want to make sure to highlight our workshops. The workshops, again, are such an amazing opportunity to be in person with other managers, and the relationships that develop are one of my, again, favorite things about working in this role. So we have 2 annual workshops, one in each focus area for leadership development and community transformation. Again, they focus on that network building. In March, we'll be in Seattle, Washington for the Main Street conference, and we'll also have the leadership development workshop at that time. It's led by Patricia Klassen. Patricia is a leadership coach and consultant who we have developed a long-term relationship with, and she really understands kind of the issues and challenges that are being faced by Main Street managers relative to leadership when you feel as though perhaps your team might be just you. It might be you and you might consider your team you and your board. You might have staff, but really you're relying on a whole network of volunteers and people who aren't necessarily committed to you in the traditional employment in a traditional employment manner that leads to how do you create conversations for accountability, and how do you organize people in a way that also takes things off of your plate. So Patricia will lead you through some exercises that are intended to help you understand your own vision for leadership, and then how to have conversational intelligence with others to make sure that you are not creating unfair dynamics to yourself, mostly because we know so many Main Street managers are sometimes put in the position to be taking on too much work themselves. So there's really some time management aspects there that are really important too. And then the Community Transformation Workshop next year will be in Richmond, Virginia in October. I'm very excited to be hosted by the Main Street Virginia team. That is a 3-day workshop. Donovan Ripkema, who is a longtime Main Street guru, teaches 1 day of that program. And our Main Street Field Services team is also present throughout the workshop. That is really where we hone into transformation strategies and some other critical understandings of real estate development and community development that really underscore and finalize that Main Street approach that is what we talked about earlier in the program. I can't speak enough to how fun those 3 days are, but we're really out in the field. Each day, we're really considering a different community's needs and trying to help them address it in a hands-on way that you can take back and replicate in your own community. So just to highlight again, as we talked about at the beginning of the program, our courses, participating in our courses leads to, ultimately, the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential. In order to earn the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential, you must complete both the Leadership Development Certificate and the Community Transformation Certificate, and then complete a final examination. Once again, the Leadership Development Certificate consists of 2 online courses, which would be Advanced Principles in Leadership Development plus one of the topics-based courses and 1 workshop. The Community Transformation Certificate consists of 8 online courses and 1 Community Transformation workshop. The final examination then is a multiple choice and essay examination. It is considered a commitment to complete that examination. We do offer you 6 months as a time frame to complete the examination once you've begun it. And you know, it's content though that the exam, at least in the essay portion, is all really related to your community and the actions that you're taking in your community, or if you're working as a consultant, how you're employing some of the learnings of the Institute in other communities. So it really helps you in the end ground everything that you've learned in application and kind of take it to the next steps and talk to us about what you've been doing to implement this. So I just want to point out to our first couple of classes of Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credentials. This is a happy moment. We have graduation annually at the closing plenary of the Main Street Now conference. We're very excited to have these professionals working with us and to be really giving us feedback on how the courses have helped them, how they've been able to employ this in their communities, move from different positions to other positions, and we have a variety of different types of folks who have been participants. We have both consultants, board members, and executive directors. This content is really applicable for a broad group, and we're always keeping in touch with these folks and helping them and asking them to help us organize the future of the program. So a little information on how to approach this content. There are no prerequisites for any of our MSAI courses. You can register for any course that's open for registration at any time. Currently, all of our online courses are open for registration. The Leadership Development Workshop coming up in March is open for registration. The only thing not currently open for registration is the Community Transformation Workshop in October of 2019. But what should you take and when should you take it? You know, we offer the flexibility to do this at any time, but for some that does you know, create some, hey, what should I do first? And we understand that. My recommendation, and the recommendation that we feel works best for folks, is to really focus in year one, if you're approaching the Institute, on the Advanced Principles courses. Again, that calendar is available in your handout section. You can check out all the courses that are open for registration now. So if you want to take a look there, we have full course description in the handout section, as well as the course schedule. And so if you're interested in participating, year one would be a great time to do the Advanced Principles courses. A lot of the content that we're going to talk about in the Advanced Principles courses is going to come back up in topics courses, but again, take that deeper dive. So it's great to have that foundational course structure first. And we highly encourage Leadership Development Workshop in the first year of the program. There's some flexibility there. It's not necessarily, that workshop does, and to some extent, stand alone, so it's not necessary that you will have taken any of the courses before you take it, and it's also flexible that if you were to take it in the future, that is absolutely fine with us. Again, so we suggest these courses in year one. In year two, and really anytime after you finish the year one courses, because of the flexibility of the on-demand only topics courses, you could register for those at any time. Again, they're available for 90 days after you register. So once you do register, you'll be able to take those and complete them at your own pace. But I would, again, encourage you not to register for them all at one time, given that 90-day time frame would apply to all of them. And then we consider the Community Transformation Workshop really a capstone. Like we said, there is no prerequisite, and you can register for the Community Transformation Workshop prior to taking these courses. But to be the most discursive and understand the most about the Community Transformation Workshop, it is helpful to have taken the online content first. And then finally, you would pass the final exam to earn the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential. Now, we'll talk about the nitty-gritty just a little bit more here in terms of pricing. Individual courses through the Main Street America Institute, individual online courses are $275 for a member. The Leadership Development Workshop, the regular member price is $450, although if you register before January 11th, 2019, for this year's workshop, the early bird rate is $395. So just keep that in mind, that if you are considering it, it's best to do so before mid-January to receive that early bird rate. And the Community Transformation Workshop is $800. I want you to also keep in mind that for the Leadership Development Workshop and the Community Transformation Workshop, those are both in person, so obviously they require some travel. And we try to keep travel expenses to a minimum in terms of the hotel rates that we offer, but of course there is that expense. And then obviously the non-member rates there, if you are coming to us as a non-member, you can take those individual ad hoc courses. But we'll talk about also that becoming a member really makes sense if you're going to take the full breadth of courses, because you will receive way more benefits and a reduced cost for participation. So now you've seen kind of individual prices for the offerings. A full participation in a certificate or the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Program. Again, the Leadership Development Certificate here is taking into account those 2 online courses in Leadership Development Workshop. If you take advantage of the early bird, that's slightly less. The community transformation workshop is the 8 online courses you would need plus the community transformation workshop, and then combined for the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential, that final exam is $150. And that money, if you know, for the exam, we do have some intense grading that goes on with those, and so that helps to defray some of the costs for the staff time there. I just want to also note that all of the courses, like I said, are available currently for registration on mainstreet.inreachce.com. That is our website. It links from any of the handouts that you have linked there with the course descriptions and with the calendar. But if you are interested in pursuing one of the certificates or the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential Program, we are able also to invoice you so that perhaps if your board is looking for more of a comprehensive cost figure for your participation, if you're able to receive some professional development funding from your board, which many of our participants do, we're also happy to help you make the argument to your board, help write a letter to make sure that they understand why this would be an important program for you to participate in. And then just a few policies I want to make clear. Certificates or the Main Street America Revitalization Professional Credential, before you get to the exam, need to be completed within a 24-month time frame. So we really want to prevent the possibility that somebody takes a few courses, and comes back to us, in 5 years to say that they want to continue. We expect that the content will have changed during that time. We want people to maintain a steady path through the Institute. And so the 24-month time frame, of course, we are flexible if you have a professional shift or a personal shift that creates a barrier there, but we need you to alert us that you would be looking to continue the program over a longer time frame. So please keep that in mind, that the goal is a 24-month time frame. The final exam time frame is a 6-month window after the completion of both certificate programs. So you have a 6-month period to complete that exam. That is, it's more than enough time. It's only not enough time if you let it linger. We will do our best to track your participation through the certificate program, but it ultimately is your responsibility to alert us when you are ready for that final exam. And I say that with also wanting to point you to our MSAI progress tracker in your materials section. The progress tracker is a PDF document. I'm going to pull it up on the window now so that we can look at it together. This PDF document will give you kind of the outlay of the courses that you need to complete for either the Community Transformation Certificate or the Leadership Development Certificate. If you keep this handy, kind of save it on your desktop, and you can fill in as soon as you complete one course, the date that you've completed the course for the Advanced Principles courses. In the topics section, if you want to say, I completed Economic Vitality by taking the course that is called Getting Retail Ready, and just mark for yourself that you did that in March of 2019 as an example. That way, when we are ready to issue you the final exam to complete the credential, you can send me this document and we can look at it together and say, yes, you have completed all of these requirements. I'm also happy at any time, if you're interested in checking in on your progress, to complete this for you and send it to you to make sure that you are on track. So please consider downloading that document. It will help you work your way through. Oh, excuse me, I went too far. For individual online courses, you earn credit towards certificates when you have viewed all of the online programs, all of the assignments have been completed and passed. Most assignments are just pass-fail for those online courses, but we do need to receive them from you and make sure that they are complete. And that you've completed the course evaluation. We highly value feedback throughout the program, so that is a requirement for the course. For workshops, credit is also when you've attended the workshop, when you've passed the exam. Typically, the workshop exams are asking you to think about what you've learned during the workshop and how you will apply it. and when you've completed the evaluation, again, for that workshop. So those are some of just the main outline of policies. If you have individual questions, I'm always happy to help. And once again, we'll offer you both, I offered my individual email at the beginning of the program. We also have a general inbox for the Main Street America Institute at msai@savingplaces.org. And you can always call and we can chat through any questions that you have, 312-610-5619. Now, I do want to ask everyone out there if there are any questions. Please feel free to go ahead and use that chat box if you have any questions that you'd like to ask about the program. Jenny, I see that you've raised your hand. I'm going to click the unmute button, and then you'll be able to ask your question out loud.
Thank you. In the event that you take one of the online tests at the end of each of those training courses, what happens if you don't pass the first time? Do you get a second shot at it, or is it a one and done?
That is an excellent question, Jenny. I really appreciate it. We do offer, typically for all of the online courses that have a quiz or exam that is administered kind of through the online platform, it will offer you a second shot to take the exam. So that is, typically all of our quizzes require a 75% pass rate. So for most of the online courses, the quizzes at the end of the session are 10 to 15 questions. So if you're looking at a 12-question quiz, you need to get 9 correct. If you only get 8 correct, you'll have another shot to retake. The button will be right there, retake this. You're also able to click on the previous try and see what you got right and wrong. So there'll be an option to view the correct and incorrect answers, and then that will probably give you some good guidance on what your next steps are. Now, we have had people who have found some quizzes difficult. They are created by the instructors, and we do want to honor that the instructors feel that they have taught the content, and we often work with the instructors to make sure that that the exam does match kind of the content of the course. If you did encounter a situation where you have tried and failed more than twice, we would encourage you to contact us. We would review the circumstance. It's obviously at the discretion then of the instructor and us to have a little conversation about, can we make an exception in this circumstance and offer it again? In most circumstances, that's going to be a yes, but it also triggers us to maybe look at that exam and see why it might have been so tricky. Jenny, does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, another question by chat. Yes, after the MSARP is achieved, are additional courses required to keep certification current? That is also a very wonderful question, and I want to say that the Main Street America Institute is just, we have kind of just completed, we'll have our 3rd class graduating in March. We're very excited for that, but that is triggering a time for us to consider recertification. As we got the program off the ground, it was always the expectation that we would offer additional content after the MSARP is achieved, and that we would eventually develop the next steps of recertification. So we are going to work with the credential recipients to develop what that looks like, because most programs do require some form of keeping current in order to make sure that once you've received this, that you do have the expectation of not letting that knowledge become outdated. So yes, that is a process that we are currently considering and developing. There's some larger considerations there relative to other ways that we can expand the Institute. And we are also offering kind of additional coursework. This year we were able to partner with the 1772 Foundation and the National Development Council to offer historic real estate finance course. We've had a few of our Main Street America revitalization professionals participate in that. We want to keep developing course offerings and look for other partnership opportunities to make sure that content is brought to those individuals so that they always feel that there is a next step and something more that they can do. So we'll be also offering some other partnership opportunities with the Walking Institute that is online and in-person program for understanding walkability. So there's more to come for those folks. And for anybody who is considering participating now, that will be something to think about in the future. Any other questions that I may address? Okay, well, if there are no other questions currently, what I would encourage everyone to make sure that you do is to download those handouts in the handout section. We will follow up and send you the recordings of this session. We know that so many of our registrants couldn't chat live with us today, but we will send out this after. And then keep in touch and ask us questions. We'll follow up with you to make sure that we have gotten everything and answered every question that you might have in follow-up. So look forward to hearing from us as well. Okay, with that, thank you for attending the program, and I look forward to hearing from all of you and working with you in the future. So have a great afternoon.